Hello friends, welcome to Shauna Stitches. I'm Shauna and I am here with my final episode, final thoughts on the 2024 Mystery Cal by Stephen West, Go Dynamo. And it is all washed and blocked. I just got done taking some finished object photos and it happened to be raining while I was doing that. I don't think that's too evident in the photos, luckily, but here we are. It is done and I am so happy about it. I don't think you can really tell. Maybe you can see it there. I have it held closed at the moment with the pin that came with one of the kits that a viewer so kindly sent me. That is the pin. And do you notice how it mimics that shape exactly? Oh, it's so hard to see. But you see there's the half circle, semicircle, and that's the semicircle in the shawl. So I'm sure Stephen knew that this was a little giveaway to one of the shapes, but it still didn't really tell us a lot. And actually, if I'm thinking, I would say it actually mimics the entire shape of the shawl as well. So there it is. It has been washed and blocked. I don't think that you can see the entire thing in the screen there, but I do have some photos that I'll be inserting as I talk here in a bit. But yeah, let me just give you kind of a recap of how it all went. So clue one, it's going to be a little bit difficult because clue one didn't start at either of the ends of the shawl. It actually started right here in the middle. So we cast on with these semicircles, very much like that pin I just showed you. And we ended up putting them together with these stripy sections. And we left off clue one with one row of bubbles. And then we went into clue two and we carried on. We had some brioche. And that was our first time using our mohair dare. So we did brioche and bubbles. And then clue three, I have to remember, what was clue three? Oh yes, clue three was the one I didn't like so much. Clue three were these short row wedges. Again, using just our main color. For me, that was Knit Picks Stroll in the Deep Waters color. And my contrast color is Holst Garn Supersoft in the color Damask. My mohair dare is a light peachy pink, and for the brioche, and actually anywhere I used my mohair dare, I carried it along with the contrast color. Now we had a very skinny scarf almost, and I wasn't really sure where the shawl was going to go, but clue three we picked up along the top of our semicircles, and we started knitting these tiny baubles and these slip stitch triangles, which to me look so much like squares. There's such an optical illusion with those. Very pretty, and I really like that design. And then at the end of that portion, we had a straight top to our shawl, which if you watched my previous videos, I did not see coming at all. I should have, but it just didn't even occur to me that that's what we were doing. So then we had an option for a border where we picked up over 600 stitches under the slip stitch wedges. Short row wedges. So many S words, I keep getting confused. So there it is. And we picked up with our contrast color. So that was my first stripe, and continued with the main color, contrast, and we had the option to do mohair dare again, which I did. And I alternated my contrast color stripes, some with the mohair and some without. And you might notice that my border looks a little larger than Stephen's. He had you stop after the stripe, after where my fingers are at that main color, but I added 4 extra, and believe me, that was a lot of knitting. Those 4 extra stripes were 12 rows? No, 16 rows, I think, and over 10,000 stitches. And then we bound off again with our contrast color and mohair in an I-cord bind off. And we ended up with kind of a scallopy border or wavy border, which is actually what it's called. And you could have pinned out the waves to make them a little more extreme, but I just didn't. I laid mine flat to dry and kind of pulled them out, but nothing too extreme. So yeah, overall, I am very happy. I absolutely love how this blocked out. I am not an aggressive blocker, but it just kind of made everything fall into place, even out. And it's really, really beautiful. This might be one of my absolute favorite shawls so far, and certainly it's going with my two favorites from before. I said it before this MKAL started that my two favorite shawls so far, the ones sitting on either side of me, are ones that I used with stash yarn. And this is also a stash yarn, completely all stash, and there's just something about it. It is definitely one of my favorites. I do really like the design. For the most part, I found the knitting enjoyable. Again, I did not love this section. However, I really think the look of it is beautiful. It was just the knitting part of it that I didn't love, especially because once you got to about here, you knew exactly how it was going to look the rest of the row. There was no surprise beyond the first few. So let me recap how much yarn I used for this shawl. Again, of the Deep Waters color, this is all I have left out of 2 full skeins. So I used 192.3 grams of yarn. So almost all of it, and that's because I did that optional longer border. I kept weighing my yarn after each extra stripe, and I found that of the Deep Waters, it was using just like 0.1, 0.2 grams less than 10 grams, and so I knit as much as I possibly could because I do have less than 10 grams here. Of the contrast color, Damask, I used 135.1 grams. And if you are unfamiliar with Holst Garn Supersoft, let me just tell you that the yardage per gram is much higher than that of sort of a standard fingering weight yarn like knit Picks Stroll or a hand-dyed yarn. In fact, let me tell you, it has, where is it? I don't see it here in front of me. It's about 314 yards per 50 grams, I believe. So if in a 100-gram skein, that would be 600-ish yards, which is a very generous fingering weight. It looks a bit thin, but let me show you again on my shawl here. If you see, after it's blocked, where it's been knit up right next to the stroll, you really don't see a difference. To me, the look of it is very similar, and although one of my yarns is a non-superwash and one is a superwash, I think that they feel quite, oops, my cone almost fell off the couch. I think they feel quite nice together. I mean, you definitely have a texture difference, but I think I like it. And whereas the Holst Garn might feel a bit scratchy on its own, having that superwash there, I think just really kind of evens everything out. And then I had the mohair, which I don't have handy right here, but of the mohair I used, where is it? 34.4 grams. I'm all cattywampus here. There we go. I love how it just comes together. Somebody had their shawl on a hanger, and especially in their colors, these kind of look like eyes, and their shawl pin that they had, it looked like an owl. Not the shawl pin, but the eyes of an owl, and then that was kind of like the beak. It looked very cool. So let me tell you how many hours approximately I spent on this shawl. The reason I know how many is because I use Knit Companion on my iPad, and as long as I have the clue up on my iPad and the screen is on, it tracks the time for me. I did not set a timer or anything like that, but approximately 92 hours of knitting time, and that is amazing. So awesome. I would like to say I loved every minute of it, but I certainly loved most of the minutes of it, and definitely enough to keep going and enough to add extra rows to my border. So that's it. I think that's about all I have to say. I can't remember if I will have put photos in earlier, but if I haven't already done so, I will put them in now. And I guess I'm curious to know, have you finished your shawl? Did you do extra borders, stripes? Did you do any border stripes? Because these were optional. You didn't have to do them. Did you end up loving your colors? Now that you know what it looks like, what would you do differently? If you go back to my Clue 1 video, I talked about how these reminded me of rainbows, and especially in these two, and how pretty I thought this would be in either a gradient or minis. It's kind of a rainbow color with white or gray or blue. And I'll be honest, I still think that would look really pretty. I've seen some very gorgeous shawls out there. One of my favorites, and I wish I could tell you the name of the person that knit it. I just don't remember off the top of my head, and it will probably take me too long right this minute to look it up. But if you have not already seen it, look for one that's titled Champagne or something along those lines. This knitter used all either kind of a creamy white or slightly off-white, and then for the contrast, I believe, it could have been the main color, either way. One of the colors, she held a gold thread. So you don't see a ton of difference between the two colors. It is very slight, but so beautiful. That is probably the favorite one I've seen. And then I know I have seen people do like a rainbow kind of color, which again, I love it. I know many people are more adventurous and bold than I am when it comes to these MKALs. I tend to go for the yarn prescribed. If it tells me 2 colors at 200 grams, that's pretty much what I'm going to go for. But there's others out there that use their yarn scraps, they use minis, all kinds of things, and it's just stunning. I definitely have a lot of respect for those people who are willing to take a chance like that and really, go off the cuff. It's just beautiful. So anyway, very happy with this. If you haven't already knit it, I can highly recommend this pattern. It was a lot of fun to knit, and I think that's all I have to say about that. Thank you so much if you joined me along the process. If you're just now finding this video and you want to know more, or maybe you are just starting to knit yours, go back and watch my Clue videos and you can see as I go step by step through the process. I talk about the goods, the bads, all the tinking back, all the things. Yeah. Anyway, I can't stop looking at it and feeling it. It's so amazing. And I can't believe we have to wait a whole other year until we have the next one. All right. Well, thank you so much for joining me. I will talk to you soon. Bye.